Hi, this is Jessica Erie, and this is my reflection of my PC742 dissemination of my DMP project course. Um, I'm kind of looking at the objectives and the questions while we talk. Looking over the objectives, I do feel like I adequately achieved all of those objectives. I did evaluate a rapid cycle improvement project over time through the use of tests of change and run charts and reflection. I also disseminated my improvement findings through my oral presentation to my team, my colleagues, my educational colleagues, and I've also written my Squire paper. I felt like I really adequately led a professional team in the analysis of practice and organizational issues within my specific clinic. And I feel pretty confident that I've developed the skills to function as a consultant in patient centered care and quality improvement. So that was really exciting. Overall, I really enjoyed this term and my DMP coursework overall. It was such a different sort of program than my master's program. I went into this right after completing my master's. And it just gave me a really fresh perspective on um, education for nurses and stuff like that. So I really, really enjoyed it. I watched Dr. O's video, and I like that she said that QI isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but I feel like I have a really hard time relating to that because my QI was really actually well received, well supported. And I didn't have a lot of stormy day moments. Most of my days were actually sunshine and rainbows. So I feel really blessed to have experienced that. I think that is truly in part to my team and their amazing, amazing acceptance of wanting to change care for the patients that they take care of. I was at a bit of an advantage in the sense that I had spent several years at this clinic, like 3 years at this clinic prior to starting this project. I was not employed there, I was hosted. So I really had had time to build relationships prior to like encouraging this idea of improvement in the clinic. So I feel like people were more on board because I'd already established that personal relationship. As far as the messy parts of my experience, there weren't a lot of messy parts. My messy parts were more related to being a hosted DMP student rather than an employee. It made implementation, observation, data collection, dissemination a bit more challenging because I really had to deal with a lot of people's schedules rather than just implementing it while I was in the clinic working. I had to rely on my team to be doing the work when I couldn't be there. So for me, that was the messy part. I don't think being hosted was a really ideal experience for people going through this process. I think doing it in your work environment is awesome because you already know the inner workings. You've already got kind of a patient population that is at your fingertips. And once it's complete, you really can be there and see what happens with your project. I am a little saddened by the fact that I don't get to continually monitor this on a weekly basis. Obviously, I'm going to stay in touch, but not to the extent of really knowing what's going on and troubleshooting issues as they happen within the clinic. So for me, that's the messy part. Um, I think how I've developed as a person, as a professional, is like I said, the program as a DMP is so different than the MSN. As an MSN student, I felt like there was really a student teacher relationship with my faculty at Frontier. As a DMP student, I really felt that it was more of a professional collaborative effort. Yes, I was a student and I was learning and I had people advising me, but it felt more like a professional mentoring relationship than a student teacher relationship. So I think that really grew my ability to be part of a team of people in my career and give back that same sense of mentorship rather than a guide. Um, and I really, really, really enjoyed that. I've told everybody that's one of my favorite parts of the DMP program. Um, And I think it serves me well. I've decided to focus my career on academia. And so it was a great experience to kind of work with my faculty in an academic setting from a mentor place so that I can kind of tackle my new role similarly. What relationships have you made during your clinical experience? Um, I think probably the most noted relationship was Dr. Ruth Lubick. Her and I just happened to, when I did my project, I don't even remember what PC, whatever, first course in this DMP program where you had to interview a national leader. I had seen her speak at the AABC Birth Center conference that Frontier sends all their students to. And so I had her information and I was very inspired. So I'm like, well, let me email her. Well, it has snowballed since then, and she's become a mentor and a friend. And I'm so incredibly grateful for that relationship because she's really connected me with people to kind of advance what I've done here in Michigan to something on a larger scope. So that's been very cool. Plus, she's just an awesome, amazing person. I also think that the more relationships I've kind of harbored or once those are with my student colleagues. Working in cohorts, we can become close. We work with each other. We understand what's going on with each other's groups, projects, and it's been great because there's people from all walks of life, all areas of the U.S., practicing all different types of nursing care, and it's been great to kind of have that extended network of people at the ready to help me when I have questions. Challenges to your integrity, value, sense of purpose. I'm going to put that and the humility together. So while I was working on my DMP project, like I said, I was hosted. This site is where I'd done my MSN clinicals. They didn't have a position when I graduated. So I had gone on to pursue elsewhere, but then came back here to do my DMP. Um, and they had told me if a position comes up, you're definitely we're thinking about you. So a position did come up while I was in the implementation phase of my DMP project, and they reached out to me. I didn't even know about it, and asked me to come in for an interview with the entire team. I did. I felt pretty assured that I was going to be joining their team, and to my surprise, they decided not to hire me, which was really, really hard at the time. They just felt that the feedback I got was that because I was pursuing my DNP, that my um, career path was probably not one that would be focused on being a midwife, practicing midwife long term, and they felt that I would probably take my career into academia. Um, and so they didn't want somebody who would not be there long term. And it wasn't my plan to not go into to go into academia. It was my plan to work as a midwife, but I've had such difficulty finding a job that I haven't had a choice. So that was really humiliating. Being in my implementation phase. And it was my sponsor who called and told me, yeah, we're not going to hire you. So, incredibly humiliating experience. But I think it was that test of my humility and my integrity because I still had to, no matter how I felt, I still had to walk into the clinic and do my project and do the best job for the patients every day. And I think personally that was a big growth period for me learning to set that aside. I mean, there was probably like 3 days of crying. Um, and then I just said, okay, pull up your big girl panties, Jessica. It's time to get back to work. So that was a challenging time, but one that has helped me grow some and has put me down a path that I'm really actually quite happy about. No really eyes wide open experiences. My patients were incredibly engaged, and I kind of knew that going in that they were going to be just because I've spent so much time with this patient population to know what their personalities are like, what the things that they value are. So I know a lot of people see my data and are really excited about it, because it's so impressive, and it really is impressive. But to me, I knew this was going to happen. I thought about this project for probably 3 to 4 years before we actually got to the point of implementing it. The other big eyes wide open for me was the difference in what my project turned out to be compared to what I thought about it. So before I even submitted my ideas, I kind of had a general idea. And then once you start talking to your faculty mentors and understanding the process a little bit better, understanding what you're trying to achieve, it was amazing just to see it evolve into what it became. And it definitely became what it needed to become, but it was such a different version than what I thought. So that was really eyes wide open for me because, you know, you go into things, you're like, oh, yeah, I got this figured out. I had nothing figured out. So, um, where do I see myself in 5 years in relationship to clinical scholarship? Well, I'm super excited because, like I said, I accepted a full time position teaching at Michigan State University. I'm teaching their childbearing family course, and also doing some leadership courses and med surge courses. Um, Part of my requirements of employment there is being published and doing research and getting involved in scholarship, which I didn't even understand what clinical scholarship was. So that was interesting for me to learn. So I'm actually already involved in several scholarship activities. I'm working with a team on civility and healthcare providers. I'm working with somebody in anesthesiology on a collaborative nurse midwife anesthesiology patient centered initiative. I'm working to disseminate this project. Um, so yeah, I have quite a bit of stuff like going on. So in 5 years, I really hope to see myself having grown in the clinical scholarship role and advanced my career at Michigan State University or wherever I'm at that time. I'm very lucky to have a boss who interviewed me and said, "You're here to educate, but you're also here to change the world of nursing care, and I expect that from you." And I love that she empowers us to advocate for better care for patients. So that's pretty awesome. So that's my story. I just want to say thank you so much. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. I just want to say thank you so much to Frontier and to all my faculty who have advised me, especially Dr. Meyer and Dr. Slager. So this has been an amazing process. I'm a little overwhelmed because I have been at Frontier for almost 5 years now, doing the Bridge program, followed by the MSN program, followed by the DNP Companion. So it's a big moment, and I would not be here if it wasn't for the support and the awesome program you guys offer. So thank you to all of you, and thank you to Frontier. Thanks.